Hello, everybody. This is Brad Reed. I am a real life trader, and I'm here reminding you to be good. And by good, I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. We were looking at this day trade a while ago, and actually, we had it. Ooh, can I do that and adjust the trade? Yes, I cannot. We had it a little bit differently. We had it something like that. At any rate, canceling the day trade. Um, Today is Johnny Guarco's birthday. Happy birthday, Johnny. And let's go right into swing trading. Feliz Cinco de Mayo a todos. And Sunny Trader absolutely crushed PTBI today. Look at that candle. Certainly it's coming up on the 200 simple moving average. So if for some reason you're not out already, I would suggest preparing to exit if you're not already. Let's go take a look at the indices. SPY. So Jeremy Newsom is going up to talk to some traders up in St. Louis today. So I got the honor of taking over the mic, and it is a pleasure to do these webinars. I really do look forward to it. I was telling the folks in the first part, I literally do wake up in the middle, I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm so excited that I get to trade, and I get to trade with you guys. So thank you for everything that you guys do to help me be a better trader, because you certainly do help me. So this is the SPY, another move down. I was talking to some folks earlier. This candle right here confuses me. And by confuses me, I mean it concerns me, because what the heck is that candle doing there? We're making higher lows, we're making higher highs. Why on earth did we not take a little pause, come down here, rotate back up, and make another higher high? So that being said, it'll be interesting to see what we do in the next 2 days. Are we going to continue down and bounce off the 100 moving average? But the fact that this candle did not set another higher high like all of these did is a little bit bearish to me. So I guess I am neutral on the market right now. I'm certainly not extremely short-term bullish, but I am long-term bullish. Yeah. Any questions, comments, thoughts, opposing views on the S&P 500? Did not that big. We've all been having fun with the Cinco de Mayo theme today. And if I know for the traders that watch us from Mexico, here in America, we have much more fun with Cinco de Mayo, from what I hear, than people in Mexico. But at any rate, we're having fun. We're having a blast. And yeah, it's all cool. And I did actually look up on Wikipedia what Cinco de Mayo was and why we celebrate. So we're not completely celebrating in ignorance, but it's all good. So the Dow Jones gives a little bit more interesting perspective with this bearish candle in the next day or two, perhaps coming down to bounce off of not only this pivot point, but also the 100 simple moving average. If you are a sniper trader, this would not be a bad sniper trade down in here, to trade off the 100 simple moving average. I know Jeremy Newsom has a strategy that says something like when you get close to the 100 simple moving average, look for about a 1 or 2% bounce. So you could put like a buy limit just above the 100, and this would be for day traders. You could put a buy limit slightly above the 100 simple, a sell stop, so your stop order slightly below it, and then your target at 2R, sell limit at 2R slightly above, to see if it does bounce when it gets close to the 100 simple. At any rate, I just have a hard time being bearish, thinking, you know, it could come down here below 178, but I'm going to be bullish as long as it stays above 178. I think it comes down, tick up, and continues on north. Oops, more purple lines. Deleting the purple. There we go. Let's take a look at the QQQ. Now this one really threw me off a couple of days ago with this big gap up here. I expected a little bit more sideways action, as you see by this, but it has actually retraced and looks more normal now. So let me take that one off, because that one was completely wrong, but at least it's not on the recording. Oh, wait. Um, so what do I think for the QQQ? I said it was going to go sideways up here. Now I'm thinking maybe it just kind of goes sideways in here. It looks like it's been respecting the 50 moving average. Sure, it could pull down to here. It's the stock market. It could do anything. But I think as long as we stay above the 100 simple moving average, I am more bullish to bearish. Actually, kind of right now, I'm sideways for a couple of days. And I think if we sideways rotate down or sideways rotate up, by the time we get to weekly Wednesdays, we'll have, weekly Wednesdays tomorrow. Well, shoot, I was hoping for a couple more days, but yeah, I think I'm calling for a little bit more sideways action than anything for the next day or two. And then we'll look at IBM. Peg says, muchas gracias, Brado. When I was in, I think it was 5th grade, in my Spanish class, they gave us all Spanish names. And you got to think in the mind of a 5th grader that some teacher is giving you a different name. That's upsetting. At any rate, my nickname or my name in that class was Humberto. Okay, so the IWM, this is a nice rest after battle here, going bearish. Notice that today is closing below the 100 simple moving average. We're also getting below this pivot point. So there's a slight chance that we could experience some support here. The question is, Brad, would you take this trade bearish with a close below all that? And the answer is no, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think the overall edge is bullish. So to trade bearish in a bullish market is ill-advised. Plus, where would you put your stop? So if you went short now, your stop would have to be up here, meaning that a 2-hour target is just an insanely far away. You're certainly going to experience some significant support if we get down to the 200, and that's if we get down that far. I'd be really surprised if we do. I think we go sideways and kind of flirt with the 100 simple moving average before continuing upwards. So I know there's some big bearish candles today, but overall I'm just kind of neutral. I think I'd be more bullish if it weren't for the big bearish candles today. With those there, I am just kind of neutral. What do you guys think? Dan says, wouldn't that be a reversal pattern and possible double top on the QQQ? I see it, Dan. Great call out. That was Dan, right? Yes, Dan Walsh. So Dan's saying, hey, bam, 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 gapping actually below the neckline, came down, retested the neckline, and moving on down. I see it, Dan. I really do. I agree with you. That is a double top. This is the retest of that double top. This is a continuation. So we had confirmation, we had verification, we have continuation. We've got all kind of shun words going on here. But we're in a bullish market. So we're in a bullish market, so I think it'll go up. We've got bearish signals here, so I think it'll go down. All of that together, I'm neutral. Peg, the second one, HUMBERTO. Yes, I am on IWM. So these are generally smaller cap stocks. They don't always have to trade with the overall market. I tell you what, there is another ticker, a 3x leveraged ETF that I sometimes trade that tracks small cap stocks. So let's go take a look at that and see if that tells us anything. It's TNA, Tango November Alpha. It's a small cap bullish 3x leveraged ETF, which means it moves 3 times as fast. And as you can see, that looks almost exactly like the IWM. So I was hoping for a slightly different perspective. I did not get it. Again, I think I'm just neutral. I think I'm going to use that strategy called wait. This is TZA, Tango Zulu Alpha, which is the inverse of that. It's a 3x bear fund. So when the market goes up, this one goes down. When the market goes down, this one goes up. So if you guys were ever looking for a stock or a ticker to buy, if the market is going down, TZA, Tango Zulu Alpha, will go up 3 times as much as the market goes down. So an interesting little leveraged fund here. But you know, if you did take this one bullish, meaning you expect the overall market to go down, or at least small caps to go down, you're going to run into a rock solid target here at 1131 with the 100 simple moving average, and another rock solid target at this pivot point, respected there and respected back there. So unless you can find some sort of spread way down in here or way up in here that pays money, which I doubt they do, I think I'd just wait. Arthur says he is more bullish than bearish overall. I am too. Yeah, primary is bullish, but intermediate has turned slightly bearish to neutral. Arthur, well said. This happens a lot where I'll ramble on for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then you guys will type in about 7 or 8 words what I was trying to say in about 10 minutes. So thank you, Arthur Pierce, for typing that in there. And Arthur, are you a moderator? Arthur, are you able to talk if you want to? Trying to get over here to see. Yeah, okay, there we go. You are a presenter now. If you want to. Okay. Okay, so that's the market overall, long-term bearish, intermediate term, short-term, neutral to very slightly bearish. So thank you. My dad's calling out GPS. Let's go check that one out. Yeah, rolling down, has rolled down past the moving averages, but coming up on a very strong pivot point right down here. Let's see. Since today is Cinco de Mayo, let's go take a look at Chuy's. Chuy's is a Mexican restaurant chain. I say Mexican, I'll call it Tex-Mex. It is incredibly good. It is, and it's about a year's worth of salt in one meal, but man, it tastes good. They gapping above this pivot point here, gapping above the 200 simple moving average. Great swing trade if you want to get in, you know, in the next 30, 45 minutes or so. The hard part is, where do you put your stop? It is a gap and go, so it is likely to be gone. A cautious trader would put their stop down there, at least for the short term. I'm a little bit more of an aggressive trader. I could put my stop there, or even in that gap below the exponential moving average. To be honest, I think on a gap and go like this, I would wait to see what the open is tomorrow. And if it opens kind of anywhere above this pivot, you know, if it opens anywhere in here, then I would buy it on open and set my stop right there. I think that's what my plan would be on Chuy's. Now, for those of you that are considering this trade, please be aware that this is an extremely low volume stock. By extremely low volume, the average, after an incredible stellar day today, the average is 230,000 shares per day. So I think for most real life traders, that's too low for your trading plan, but that is a nice little gap and go breakout on earnings. I guess the question is, where would the target be? You can see the reason we're stopping where we are today, 25.49, is due to these peaks here. But if we can get above that, this thing has lots of room to go. There's a lot of room to go. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Strong target up here around the 28 area. Actually, I'll call that 28.73-ish as a target. So depending on where you get in, that could be a 3 to 1, 2.5 to 1 if it opens tomorrow around in that area. So that's Chewy, C-H-U-Y. Let's go on to CMG. CMG making a bit of a bearish move. Oops, there's another purple line. Justin Linderman called this trade here a Pinocchio trade. It didn't quite make the formation or the pattern that I wanted, but let me see if I can get some of that off there. At any rate, what is this thing doing? Incredible bullish gap here. This thing is running up, making a bullish break for it. Then all of a sudden, bam, it gaps way down here. Did I say that's a bullish gap? That's a bearish gap. Incredible bearish gap. We have a run on down. We have a continuation, a touch up in here to the 10 exponential moving average. It looks great for a continuation on down, but we do have that target there at 608. 608.75. So a strong target here. If you are in it already, great place for a target, you know, somewhere around in this area. If you are not in it already, I don't know that now is the time to get in, just because your reward to risk ratio would be difficult to do it. So if you got something to say, let me know. I can barely hear you, but if it's accidentally on and I'm hearing stuff in the background, go ahead and hit that mute, please, if you don't mind. So the bearish there would be 625-ish. The stop would be up there. And yeah, there's no way that's anywhere close to its one. But yesterday's roll up and touch in the 10 EMA would be a great place to move your stop down to lock in a profit if you got in somewhere around in here. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on CMG? Stan's already in a bear call spread with May expiration. Stan, help me out. May expiration, is that May 15? And you're in a 687, 690. Oh my gosh, Stan. You beast. That is huge. So Stan the man, the credit spread man, Stan J in a 687, 50, 690 bear call spread, May 15th expiration. Stan, what is your plan? Because right now you ought to be able to buy that thing back for pennies. Are you going to let it just go on? Because some people would consider go ahead and buying that back, just closing it out, and I bet all you have to do is pay for just the transaction fee. And really all you have to do is buy back the one that you sold. You can keep the one that you bought, and if this thing does make some kind of incredible bearish gap, like surprise us all like it did here, then you might even make a little bit of money on the call that you kept. I'm sorry, Stan, you typed in yes. Does that mean yes, you're going to close it out early, or yes, you're going to hold it till expiration? Just let it run. All right, buddy. We'll consider closing it out early, but as always, follow your plan. But that is a gorgeous trade. I would be shocked and amazed if you even have to think about that one. Wow, that is sweet, dude. Yeah, you obviously don't even have to think about this until it comes close to the 200, around 665, and even then, it's got a long ways to go. Nice trade, dude. Very, very nice. Okay, next one. Loco. What was that Kylie Minogue song from the 90s, Locomotion? That was like an awesome song back then. Now it's kind of like, you listen to it again, you're like, wow, okay. El Pollo Loco. Sorry for the hesitation, the silence. Here's what I'm seeing on El Pollo Loco. I see a low there, a higher low there, a higher low there. And if it goes up, that would be a higher low. But really what I would like for this thing to do is to give me a bounce signal off the 100 simple moving average. That would just be delicious. Get it? Delicious because it's El Pollo Loco. That's a rest. Anyways. So if it bounces off the 100 simple moving average, that's almost X marks the spot good. Certainly you would have a first target there. Yeah, that might be a really, really nice trade. So I guess my plan for El Pollo Loco would be to wait for it to come down and buy if you get a bounce signal off the 100 simple moving average. Otherwise, wait for it to come up to, what is this, 29 even. And if we get a break above 29, you can either buy the breakout or wait for the retest. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on El Pollo Loco? The crazy chicken. Peg says it's squeezing. Interesting. Let's check that out. Sorry, I was looking at the chat pane there. Bollingers. It is interesting that both the top band and the lower band are pointing inwards. I think I would wait for it to get even tighter, kind of like this, before I'd call it a squeeze. But yeah, when both bands are pointing in like that, that certainly is applying some pressure. And if it does break through the bottom band, it really should continue, even though we have the 100 simple moving average in there. So it'll be interesting to see what El Pollo Loco does. I still think if it touches the 100 simple moving average and shows a bounce signal, that would be an interesting swing trade. All right, that is the end of my Cinco de Mayo stocks. Does anybody else have Cinco de Mayo stuff? Sonny, I appreciate that. I had a 50-50 chance. Maybe I had greater than 50, but at any rate. Arthur says, I noticed that we have not had much discussion about bull call spreads or bear put spreads. Are they not as common? So Arthur is talking about directional spreads. Jeremy talked about these about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, let me stop. Let me let my mouth attempt to catch up to my brain, or my brain catch up to my mouth, because one of the two of them is way out ahead of the other. A directional spread, what would be a good stock? Let's go back to Chewy's. I don't know if they have options on Chewy's, but at least this one's a little bit more directional than some of the others. A directional spread like that is interesting for a couple of reasons. Let me get some lines off it here so I can draw what you might do. So if you were going to trade Chewy's with options, you might buy the 25 strike something. Let's get a 25 strike call, something right there. And if it goes up, that call is going to increase in value. Now, one way to do a directional spread is, let's say instead of this thing taking off, it comes back down here and just kind of wants to wiggle down here for a few days. Well, if it's going to do that, you might sell the $27 call to bring in just a little bit of premium, because you don't think this thing's going to go up like that. You think it's going to go sideways like this and just kind of wiggle around here, and maybe it pops later after this call has expired. So you could sell the 27, bring in some premium while you're waiting, and if it were to break early, you would be this one would be called away against you, so you would have to sell your 25 in order to cover the 27, and you would be profitable by $2 per share. So you would be guaranteed $2 per share. You do miss out on any of the profit up in here, but that's not a bad thing because you're guaranteed $2 a share here. Now, if this thing were to pop bearish on you, this $27 call would be relatively worthless, so you could just let that expire, dump your $25 call for a small loss, but you would keep the premium that you got for selling that one in the first place. So it kind of hedges yourself against a little bit of loss. It does slightly limit your upside, but that is one way we use debit spreads, bull call spreads, would be to bring in a little bit of premium if the stock is going sideways or going slower than you expected. Another way, and I've actually done this with expensive stocks like Apple and CMG. Actually, we just talked about CMG. Let's switch over to that one. CMG is a $600 stock, and I don't know what the option prices are, but they're likely to be really, really expensive. So let's say you wanted to buy a put when it formed this candle here, and let's say you wanted to buy the 640, let's say you wanted to buy the 645 put. But the 645 put is ridiculously expensive. I mean, this thing's like, you know, $5,000 to $10,000 for one contract. Let's just say. And that's more money than you want to have. Well, you could offset the cost of the 645 by selling the 640 and getting into a spread right away. Let's say you sold the 635. So you buy the 645, you sell the 640, you sell the 635. That's a B for buy. That's an S for sell. So, and you do these both at the same time. So you bought this one for 500, you sold this one for 300. So now you're in $200 on the put. You're limited to $10 per share, which is not bad. I mean, you're guaranteed. You're not guaranteed, but your reward risk is pretty good now because your risk is what, $2 a share, but your reward is $10 a share. That's pretty awesome. And as long as the stock is lower than your short strike upon expiration, you would get $10 per share. So it can lower the cost of getting into a directional option spread if you don't have the funds to cover it right up front, or a debit spread can be used to bring in a little extra premium if your directional trade is going sideways instead of running in the direction you had previously intended. Questions, thoughts, opposing views on directional spreads, bull call spreads, or bear put spreads? Yes, Chris Irwin says, Jeremy Newsom uses debit spreads, as you were saying, as an adaptive trade management technique, meaning if a trade is not running strongly in your favor, if it's going to pause and go sideways, he'll go ahead and enter that debit spread to bring in a little bit of premium while he's in the trade. If you are directional on a stock, you can just buy a directional option, buy a call, or buy a put, and make more money than doing the spread if it's going to run quickly. So let me catch up with the trade. Sunny says, PBTI, could you show me what moving, show your interpoint? Sunny, can you type that again? Type that in again. What moving average I was looking at for PBTI? I have to type it in correctly. It's not PBTI. PBIT? I thought it was PBTI. Can one of you guys help me? PBIT. That's one we were trading earlier. Let me go over here. It's PTBI. I'll try that one. So this one had this incredible run up. It was the 200 simple moving average that's right in there. The reason why two reasons why I thought this thing would reverse. Number one, it's just so extended. Stocks don't move 50% in a day. That's just not natural. Darn it. I thought I fixed this once already. I bet I fixed this 3 or 4 times today. I just haven't saved it. Save study template as all 5 MAs. Okay. Yes. All right. So it's coming up to the 200, so I thought it would reverse, and it's just so overextended. You know, everyone who's bought this stock since December was insanely profitable beyond their wildest dreams. You know, who would have thought this thing would run up that much in one day, especially when it's not even earnings? So it had a huge run up. You know, I mean, the stock nearly doubled in a day, and they just sold it. And so that's why when I saw it, you know, it was somewhere around in here, and I'm like, man, this thing's unlikely to go up anymore. It did, but when it hit that 200 simple moving average, that was enough for most of those traders there. Great question. Great question. Let's see. One I wanted to look at, then we'll get to Facebook, which has been a big topic of the day, was SoFun Holdings. This one has earnings coming up. Let's see. TradingView says tomorrow. Chris or Arthur or Dad, could you guys go over to earningswhisper.com and let me know if this thing's going to be before the market open tomorrow or after it closes tomorrow? SFUN, Sierra Foxtrot Uniform November. Because here's what I was thinking, guys. If this thing opens just a little bit up here, that would be an awesome trade. If it gaps down below here, that would be an amazing gapping. So I'm really liking, so in fact, I'm just going to add it to my watch list so I can check it out tomorrow. And that would be worth a swing trade too if it gaps up there. In fact, I will mark it down for my swing trade strategy. I'm testing a new swing trade strategy that says if a stock gaps out of a consolidation, you enter in on open, put your stop 1% below or halfway into the gap, and then sell it to R. I've back tested it. It's pretty insanely profitable. I'm virtually testing it right now, and so after I get a few more virtual trades, I will definitely share it with you. But I like SFUN above 861 or below. I'm going to say below this pivot, which is below 681. So 681 and above 871. It does not have a confirmed date. People are saying now it may be May 19th or May 20th. So TradingView may have a out-of-date date here. So, but it could gap for a number of reasons. At any rate, that's what I think on Southern SoFun Holdings. It might be so fun to trade it if it gets above those 2 points. Ha ha ha! I made it funny. By the way, guys, I'm out of funnies for a while because I used up about all 3 of them for the month of May in the morning session. So I apologize for those of you that have to stick with it. We looked at otter today. This is a retest gap. It did really wild and crazy stuff. I think it's worth looking at it on an hourly, at least if you're a swing trader. That is not what we expect from a bullish gap. But on the hourly, it's quite bearish. I would expect this one to fulfill its promise on retest gap of coming down here, at least retesting this pivot point. So on Estee Lauder, look for it to come back here, look for a bounce signal off of that pivot, especially if the EMAs can catch up. That would be, yeah, that would be a bullish entry on Estee Lauder here in about 3 or 4 days, I think. Let's see. We also were looking at Cisco, had a bit of a bearish breakout. That's more of a continuation, I guess, than a breakout, getting close to a target. And then we were looking at Service Now, which does not look as interesting for a swing trade as it did a day trade. By the way, we had actually entered a trade for the, we entered a trade down here. Oh no, we entered the trade on Cisco at any rate. Okay, let's go on. Stop talking about swing trading. And let's see, it's Tech Giant Tuesday, and I haven't talked about any tech giants yet. Facebook has had a lot of questions today. Let's see, that's a 5-minute. Let's go back to the daily. Erwin has let me know that DDD has earnings before open tomorrow. So Chris and Arthur, remember, please remind me to check out DDD at the end of today, and we'll check it out. Facebook, by the way, call out to Johnny Howlett. Had his first covered call on March week 2, which March week 2 was somewhere over in here. Covered call expired $84, expired worthless. And what Jeremy Newsom was telling me, he's done about 3 or 4 more. So Johnny, congratulations. Seems like you got the strategy covered. Great job. Now let's say the stock did get called away. Who would have loved to get paid to sell the stock at 84? I mean, that's $2. That's like almost 2% away from the all-time high, and you get paid to sell at a high. That's incredible. Well, that's why Newsom likes covered calls. That's why Johnny Howlett likes covered calls. So nice work, nicely done there. Now, Facebook, what's it doing now? I would say it's going bearish. I was about to call this thing a double top, but I'm not really sure I would. Certainly a topping pattern here. But yeah, it's coming in. It's right now on the 200 simple moving average. So if it breaks the 200 simple, it could very likely continue on. By very likely, I would be more bearish than bullish. Let me draw some things here because I'm seeing something now that I did not earlier. And of course, this candle's almost done. I got to go quick. 77.22 is the low. So if we get a close below that 200 moving average, we have that there. The problem is the reward risk ratio isn't that great. If we do get a move below the 200 simple moving average, and by move I mean if we get a close below this 200 simple moving average, I would be more bearish than bullish on Facebook. The question becomes, how do we profit from it? If you're not already in, an entry there, your stop would have to be up above the 100, and you're coming into a real strong target. I mean, 72.50 would be difficult for it to get to because you're going to run into a lot of support here at 73.43-ish with these. So I'd be real cautious about getting in bearish on Facebook if you're not already in, at least directionally. Bear call spread. Hey, Stan, you got a bear call spread going on Facebook, by the way? But I'm thinking bear call spreads above 80, 87 if it continues lower, if there's any premium there. I'm more bearish than bullish on Facebook, especially if it continues below that 200. But I'm just worried if you're getting in now, you're getting in late. Plus, overall, I'm neutral to bullish on it. So taking a bearish directional trade, it would be really difficult for me By difficult, I would say against my trading plan. So got more information that SFU Wind's not going to do earnings until May 20th before open, so that's fine. Fossil is going to do later. That's what my wife wants for Mother's Day, is a Fossil watch. So I need to go get one of those. Okay, more tech stocks. I wrote down some. Apple. Did I already look at Apple? I'll look at it again. I've looked at this thing 2 or 3 times today. So this one looks kind of like Facebook did. You see how Facebook had this run up, kind of sideways, then another run up? Notice the lower high, and then it continued down. Apple has something similar. I guess this is a higher high, so not quite. A lot of people are a little bit timid to shy to scared to bearish on Apple. I agree, this is not the most bullish candle in the world, this pattern right here. But see how many bounces we've off this 50 exponential moving average. We very well could have another one. We had a lot of retest gaps in here. I guess I'm neutral to bearish in the short term on Apple, but bullish for the long term. So I would say patience, great time to sell covered calls up in the 130, 135 range. You know, if you're looking for an opportunity to buy on Apple, there's a real strong pivot point at the bottom of this candle, and the 100 simple moving average is coming up along with a pivot point. So if it does come into this area, that's 3 forms of support all at once: the trend line, the 100 simple, and this pivot point. X marks the spot is a great time to buy. You could even consider a sniper trade if it gets down in there. A sniper trade is when you put some ridiculously tight entry to stop, something like that. You do so. But the point is, your entry to stop would be ridiculously tight. You do get stopped out a lot, but your reward risk ratio could literally be 10 to 1, 15 to 1 on this trade if you do it. Back trade it first, test the strategy. Don't do it just because of what I said, unless it's already in your trading plan. And if you want to add something to your trading plan, I'm going to take this opportunity, go to reallifetrading.com, click on articles, and look at this one, 7 steps to building your own strategy. It goes through how you can back trade and virtual trade strategies, so that when Jeremy or I or someone says, hey, you might consider a sniper trade, you can go back and you can try out the sniper strategy and be sure it works for you. Be sure you know how to do it with back trading and with fake money before you do it for real money. All right, moving on. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves was of conversation today. Now, I have a lot of messy lines on this, so I'm going to talk about what I wanted it to do and then what it's actually doing. So I remember Angie and I were talking about this earlier, and we saw this sideways to slightly upwards channel coming up on earnings with this 100 simple moving average coming in. And what we were hoping this thing would do, let's see, I'm going to change colors for the sake of this. Let's choose orange. We're hoping it would come up here and right around earnings, come up to the top of these pivot points and gap above the 100 simple moving average and take off like a bandit. And I don't know if bandits take off, but let's just say that they do. What it has done instead is it has rolled down, and it looks like it's going to close below this pivot line. So that is bearish. Big lower wick today. Can someone confirm the earnings on Baba? We got earnings coming up in a day or two, so I would be hesitant to get in directionally bearish. And by hesitant, I mean I would not do it. I would wait till earnings if they are actually later this week, and they very likely are. So Baba, very interesting. I think it'll be fun on Thursday. Steven Jackson says Thursday morning for Baba. So let's see, I'm just going to add that to the watch list. and we'll see what it does then, but I think I'm going to be patient and wait. Netflix was looking a little bit interesting. Bullish gap up today. By the way, Netflix is one of those that I'm doing my swing, I call it gap out of consolidation swing strategy. So here's the consolidation pattern. Here's the gap out of it. And so my entry was there, stop there, 2R there. And my stop right now is at the 10 moving average. So yesterday did not trigger it, so I'll move my stop to there, locking in 2R on the trade after the market closes today. At any rate, a very, very bullish gap up today. Even though it looks like a bearish candle, notice that it stopped right up here at 576.13, which is the top of this channel. That means a move above that could be another bullish move. I just noticed something. Check that bad boy out right there. When the moving averages cross, when the faster moving averages crosses over the slower moving average, that is an incredibly bullish signal. A lot of people buy just by seeing that signal. So again, I am more bullish than bearish on Netflix. I'm waiting to see an entry. Actually, I'm going to call an entry. Oh, I like this one. Sorry, just seeing more and more about this that I like. And trigger at the end of day, if we get a close above that line, if it does trigger that and then goes below there, this would be a great place for a protective put. Because if it does come and if it gets below this, after it triggers up here, if it comes below that, that's bearish, real bearish. And then I would put my stop at the low of this area. I really like that setup right there. If I really like it, I really like it. Now, if Netflix it's a pricey stock and the options are ridiculously expensive. So if this thing is too expensive for you and you do want to get in it, you could buy with a close over here, you could buy a 575 call and you could sell the 580 or the 585 or the 590 call and enter a directional bull call spread. So if you bought the 575 and you sold the 580, you would be locked into or limited to $5 per share profit, but you would receive all of that profit as long as those options expired, as long as the stock was above 580 when those options expired. So I'm not going to write that in, but I will just verbally call that out. I like Netflix with a close above 576.13. Excuse me. With a close above 577.10 and a strong close above 577.10. I would be much more bullish than bearish. Like that one. Cool. Let's see. Someone wanted me to take a look at ECR. So this looked a whole lot better earlier today than it does now. So I'm going to skip it. If this candle had been a bullish candle, you can see we have increasingly higher lows. We would have had an ascending triangle. But this right here is why we wait until 3:45 Eastern time to enter a trade, because we want to be sure that the stock will close above that pivot instead of below it. And I'm just going to switch over here to the 15-minute to show you guys that it spent most of the day above that pivot. Just in the last hour has it dipped down below that pivot point. So that's why we wait until 3:45 for the end of it. Let us, let's see. Jeremy sent me a message, so I'll go check that out here in just a little bit. Ford Motor Company is one my dad called out earlier today, and rightly so. This thing definitely looks bearish, like really bearish. A lot of lines on this chart, and there's someone else's lines. It did have a very, I don't know what to call this. It's a topping pattern for sure. But you've got this guy, then this guy, and then that almost looks like an inverse cup and handle. No, well, I'm not sure what to call it, but that is certainly a bearish pattern. This candle today has crossed below the 200. Let's see, it opened just under the 200 and has crossed below the 100 simple and below this pivot point. And wow, as we are watching it, this thing is just dropping like a rock. If we look at the 15-minute, you'll see this thing is just tanking like crazy. But I am more bearish than bullish on Ford for the next, well, I was going to say for the next certain long, but here's what I'm going to call out on Ford. Let me see if I can get some of my lines off of there. I think Ford is going to go sideways. This, what it did up in here, it's going to do here. So I'm expecting it to go sideways a little bit. A close below here in 2 or 3 days, and this thing could really have a fun ride down. So I'm going to wait a few days on Ford, but that could be an extremely nice bearish move on Ford over the next couple of days. Jeremy's asking me if I'm noticing the bearish move on the market in the last. Yeah, okay, so here we have in the last 2 or 3 hours just a big bearish run on the market. Notice it, yes. But overall, I don't think it changes my perspective. We already had a short-term neutral to bearish view of the market, but long-term bullish. Okay, so it looks like Newsom and we agree. That's always fun. DDD has earnings before open tomorrow. That is an orange line. And let me go see. If you guys have other stocks that are gapping tomorrow, please share them. Looks like this gap was a fade like we thought it would be. What do I want this thing to do? I really wish today hadn't been such a big bearish candle. I wish it had waited, but obviously this bearish move in the last 3 days mean that investors do not think it's going to have good earnings. So if it does get bearish, that would be a retest gap. High, let's see, the low is 23.85. I'll probably, if this thing looks good in the morning, I'll publish on it. DDD. And if you do not get the trades that we publish on TradingView, go over here to youtube.com and type in follow real life trading on TradingView, and you'll get this one right here, how to follow real life trading on TradingView. And I'll go ahead and post it in the chat window. Maybe I will. So if you're seeing the recording, I'm not sure if you can get to that, but I know we have a couple of new folks on the floor. If you click on that link, you can follow us on TradingView, and I publish day trades in the morning based on gaps, and Jeremy, of course, publishes swing trades that he sees in the afternoon. I should go back. I'll go back and I'll publish that Netflix trade. So if you signed up, you will get it in your inbox. Okay, that's DDD. So a gap below 23.85 would be a nice retest gap. As far as a gap up above the 100 simple moving average, man, that'd be tough. I'm not sure if I like a gap up, just because there's so much congestion, so many pivot points. so many places for these bearish traders to buy to close out their trade. I guess they would have to buy to close it out, and that would send it further upwards. Okay, I want to look at more stocks before we end. So I like a gap down on DDD tomorrow, but not a gap up at this point. If I do like a gap up, I'll publish it. Fossil, beautiful setup. Beautiful setup for earnings gap. This may be my favorite one, and I really hope it triggers something. So a gap above 87.60 here would put it in this void. We would have a great bullish run up to the 100 simple moving average, and that would be where I'd get out, is at the 100 simple. But a bullish gap above 87.60 would be a beautiful retest gap. Otherwise, a gap down below 79.50 would be a very nice gap and go, potentially a perfect gap and go. But realize that anyone who had bought in this thing, that bought Fossil in the last 2 or 3 months, they're expecting this thing to gap up. If it gaps down, it's likely going to hit their stop order. So they probably have a stop order here around 80, maybe slightly below 79.50. So if this thing gaps, to 79.40 or 79.30, that would be just an amazing gap and go. So loving this Fossil if it gaps beyond 87.60 or below 79.50. I'll come back, I'll type this up, and I'll publish these before the end of the day. So let's see. I saw MYL is going to be doing earnings soon. This one doesn't look as nice as Fossil, but it is close because it has this little consolidation pattern going on. Let me clean up my chart just a little bit. And I am going to move this pivot point up. If it gaps above 76.68, 76.68, that would be a beautiful retest gap. It'd be a retest gap with some traders trapped. This thing is going sideways, so I'm not sure if that's these bullish traders selling to close out their positions, or if there are bearish traders opening. I bet it's people closing out, but at any rate, there would be plenty of bullish steam if this thing gapped up. Now, if it gapped down, I'm going to say if it gaps down below this 20 simple moving average, sorry, 20 exponential, if it gaps down below 70.54, and I'm going to draw that at 751, but if it gaps down below 754-ish, then I would consider that to be a nice gap and go down to, let's see, this target here, 66.15. So tomorrow might be a fun day to day trade if these things do. I really like Fossil, and I like this Mylan Inc. What else is gapping tomorrow? Steven says HLF. And Arthur saying Checkpoint and Wendy's. All right, I'm going to have to go fast if I'm going to get to all of these. So I'll say Herbalife, if it gaps down, I would be I'd be more, lots of pivot points, and here's the problem. 39.28. If it gaps down below 39.28, I would consider a retest gap. Don't need that, and I don't need that. I do like how the 100 simple moving average is sitting on this one. Let's see, 36.98. So that would be an amazing target to get down to there. A gap up, I find that to be unlikely, but if it, you know what? If it gapped up above 42.94, I would consider a gap and go. One reason I'm saying that is that today is such an insanely bearish day. a gap up would have a lot of traders trapped. And this thing could really take off. Interesting. Okay, CHK, then Wendy's, and then we're done. Sorry for going a little bit long. If you guys have to jet, that's fine. I will publish these. So if you are a follower on TradingView, you will get these in your inbox. For Chesapeake, sorry, not Checkpoint, Chesapeake, if this thing gaps above 1884, it would be a very nice gap and go, not 1884. If it gaps above 1742, I'm hesitant on this one because you got the 100 simple, you got this pivot point, and then you got the gap. So I would be cautious, very cautious on CHK. Now, if it somehow gaps down below 1338, then that would be a nice retest gap. Let's see, that would be $3 on a $16 stock. That would be a 20% gap. If it has room, I'm going to be very cautious whatever happens on Chesapeake Energy. Honestly, I think it doesn't get much at all. And then Wendy's was called out. Wendy's in a great bearish run. Wow, if this thing gaps, had 2 days of bullish movement. So if this thing gaps below 1005, I would love the gap and go. As far as a bullish trade, it would have to gap above that wick. It'd have to gap above 1085 for me to be excited about taking it bullish. Now I have to think, is that a target or is that actually, you know what? If this thing gaps over 1060, I would very cautiously trade a gap and go. Very cautiously. Cool, guys. That is my time for today. That's more than my time. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for being real traders. If you have questions, email me, brad@reallifetrading.com. Feel free to email me. Looks like Tesla and GMC are after hours tomorrow. Thank you guys for being here. Go to www.reallifetrading.com for more information, more videos, more strategies, more stuff, how to do it. Thanks everyone for being here. And as always, have a good one and trade on logic, not on hope. Thanks everyone.